3 years ago, almost nobody knew the name Alex Eala. She was simply a quiet young girl from the Philippines, training on courts that many professional players would never even consider using for practice, while holding on to a dream that seemed impossibly far away. Then something happened, something the tennis world never saw coming, something that changed everything. Think about it for a moment. Out of more than 8 billion people on Earth, only a small number ever pick up a tennis racket. An even smaller group becomes good enough to compete professionally, and only a microscopic fraction of those athletes ever get the opportunity to stand on the doorstep of the most iconic stage in tennis, Wimbledon, the cathedral of tennis. Yet today, Alex Eala, a young woman from a country where tennis courts are scarce and tennis dreams are even rarer, finds herself standing at that very edge. What makes her story remarkable is not just where she is now, but how quickly she arrived there. Even the people who believed in her the most could not have imagined this journey unfolding so fast. But the truth is, Alex's path to this moment was never a simple rise to the top story. It was far more complicated, far more emotional, and far more human than most people realize. There were difficult nights when she questioned everything, painful defeats that felt impossible to recover from, and one quiet, heartbreaking moment that nearly ended her dream before it truly had the chance to begin. To understand who Alex Eala really is, and what separates her from countless other talented young players around the world, you have to start there, not with the victories, the headlines, or the spotlight, but with the struggles, the doubts, and the determination that shaped her into the player she is today. Not at Wimbledon, not during the triumphs or the headlines, but at the moment when Alex Eala nearly disappeared from the story altogether. Imagine a training facility somewhere in Europe in the early hours of the morning. The sun has not yet risen, the air is cold enough to see your breath, and most of the other players are still asleep. Yet Alex is already on the court, not because a coach demanded it, not because anyone was watching, but because something deep inside her refused to let her rest. This is the part of greatness that people often misunderstand. They see the trophies, the rankings, and the highlight reels and assume the journey was always moving upward. What they never see is the version of Alex sitting alone after a devastating loss in a tournament that almost nobody watched, staring down at her racket and honestly wondering whether she was chasing a dream that was never meant for her. That version of Alex was real. The doubt was real. And the reason this Wimbledon moment carries so much meaning is because of everything she had to survive before reaching it. Growing up in the Philippines, Alex was pursuing a sport that existed on the fringes of a culture dominated by basketball. Tennis was present, but it was not woven into everyday life in the same way. It was a sport that required resources, opportunities, and infrastructure that many aspiring athletes simply did not have access to. The fact that she discovered tennis at all felt like a small miracle. The fact that she fell completely in love with it changed her life. She embraced the sport with the kind of obsession only young dreamers can understand, as if tennis had been created specifically for her. What drew her in was not just the competition, but the purity of the challenge. Tennis offered nowhere to hide. There were no teammates to rescue you, no one else to carry the pressure, no one to absorb the blame. Every point, every mistake, every success belonged entirely to you. For Alex, that responsibility was not intimidating, it was inspiring, and it became the foundation of the relentless mindset that would eventually carry her toward the biggest stage in the sport. For someone built the way Alex Eala is built, fiercely competitive from within and relentlessly demanding of herself, that kind of pressure was never something to fear. It felt familiar. It felt like home. Long before the tennis world knew her name, she was already putting in the kind of work that few people ever truly understand. While others were sleeping, resting, or celebrating small victories, Alex was grinding through hours of training, quietly building the foundation for a future nobody could yet see. But in professional tennis, hard work alone is never enough. At the elite level, everyone works hard. Everyone sacrifices. Everyone dreams. What separates those who eventually make it from those who come painfully close is something much harder to define and nearly impossible to manufacture. For Alex, that answer began to reveal itself during one of the most difficult stretches of her young career. It was a period when she was winning just enough to remain hopeful but losing often enough to keep her awake at night. The results were not arriving the way she expected. Technically, she was improving. Her coaches believed in her. The numbers and data suggested she was moving in the right direction. But tennis is not played on spreadsheets. It is played as much in the mind as it is on the court. During that challenging period, something inside Alex had not yet fully aligned with the player she was capable of becoming. She would get close to victory only to watch it slip away. She would dominate stretches of matches, play brilliant tennis for 2 sets, and then see everything unravel in the third. Each disappointment fed a small voice in the back of her mind, and with every loss that voice grew louder. It whispered doubts that every athlete fears hearing. Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe the distance between where you are and where the world's best players stand is simply too great to overcome. Most people never discover how they would respond to that kind of moment because they never face it so directly. Alex did. She did not run from the doubt, pretend it wasn't there, or bury it beneath false confidence. The ball stays low, skids unpredictably, and rewards quick decision-making. The difference between reacting to the bounce and anticipating it is enormous. Alex has clearly crossed that threshold. She is no longer waiting to see what happens. She is reading the court, anticipating patterns, and moving with confidence. She attacks short balls that she might previously have played safely, stepping forward with intent and turning neutral situations into offensive opportunities. Her return game has evolved as well. Rather than simply blocking serves back into play, she is stepping inside the baseline, taking time away from opponents, and disrupting their rhythm before they can establish control of a point. On grass, where instead, she faced it head-on. She sat with the uncertainty, listened to the questions it raised, and forced herself to confront every fear and insecurity that came with chasing an extraordinary dream. In doing so, she began developing the mental strength that would later become one of the defining qualities of her journey. Alex allowed the doubts to speak. She listened to every fear, every insecurity, and every reason her mind could produce for giving up. Then she made a choice, a quiet, deeply personal, and almost stubborn decision to believe that those doubts were wrong. It was not a decision built on evidence or supported by results. It came from something much harder to explain, a feeling she experienced every time she struck the ball perfectly, something deep inside her that refused to let go of the dream. She recommitted herself completely and did so without fanfare, without announcements, and without guarantees. Slowly, something began to change. Not overnight, because meaningful transformations never happen that way, but gradually over weeks and months, a different version of Alex Eala started to emerge. The evolution was not merely mental. It was physical, technical, and strategic. It was the kind of complete reconstruction that many players are too afraid to attempt because tearing down something that partially works in order to build something truly elite requires an extraordinary level of confidence. Yet Alex embraced that challenge. Today, nowhere is that transformation more obvious than on grass courts. The player arriving at Wimbledon is fundamentally different from the player who struggled on this surface just a year ago. That is not exaggeration or hype. It is simply what the performances throughout this grass court season have demonstrated. The most noticeable improvement begins with her serve. A year ago, it was reliable and respectable, strong enough to hold service games but not a major weapon. Today, it has become one of the most dangerous parts of her game. The increase in pace is important, but the bigger development lies in her precision and intent. She no longer treats the serve as merely the start of a rally. Instead, she uses it as the opening move in a carefully planned sequence, setting up points before the ball even comes back across the net. On grass, where service holds are more valuable than on any other surface and where a single break of serve can determine an entire set, that distinction changes everything. Alex is now earning free points on her first serve with a consistency she simply did not possess 12 months ago, and those free points alter the entire psychological balance of a match. Opponents feel more pressure during their own service games, knowing opportunities will be limited. Confidence grows, momentum becomes easier to maintain, and matches begin to unfold on her terms. Yet as significant as the serve has become, it is only one piece of a much larger transformation that has turned Alex Eala into a far more complete and dangerous grass court player. Watch Alex Eala's movement on grass today compared to a year ago, and it feels like watching two completely different athletes. The hesitation that once existed has disappeared. On a surface where momentum can shift rapidly and service games are often protected fiercely, dictating the pace from the opening shot can be the difference between a comfortable straight sets victory and a difficult three-set battle. Anyone who has followed her closely throughout this grass court season can see the transformation. She no longer looks like a player trying to adapt to grass. She looks like a player who belongs on it. More than that, she looks as though this surface was waiting for her game to fully mature. Then came the draw, the document that has the power to shape an entire tournament before a single point is played. In professional tennis, the draw is often the first draft of destiny. It determines opening round opponents, potential second-round obstacles, and which seeded players sit in each section of the bracket waiting for their opportunity. Depending on how the final Wimbledon draw unfolds, Alex could find herself with a path that presents genuine opportunities for a deep run. Every Grand Slam draw tells a different story, and the difference between a favorable section and a brutal one can ultimately determine whether a player reaches the second week or exits early. Yet there is one thing the draw cannot change: the level of tennis Alex is bringing into the tournament. Whoever faces her in the early rounds will be stepping onto the court against a player carrying confidence, momentum, and a game that has been carefully shaped for success on grass. Any seeded player who eventually crosses paths with her later in the event will not be facing an inexperienced outsider or an easy obstacle. They will be facing a competitor who has transformed herself through hard work, belief, and relentless improvement, and whose current form makes her a genuine threat to anyone standing on the other side of the net. Any seeded player who finds Alex Eala on their side of the Wimbledon draw can no longer glance at her name and feel the comfort they might have felt a year ago. That change in perception, from a manageable opponent to a genuinely dangerous one, is among the most significant developments of her entire career. Regardless of how the bracket ultimately unfolds, Alex enters Wimbledon as a player no one can afford to underestimate. What makes this year different from every previous Wimbledon is not optimism or wishful thinking. It is evidence. Over the past several months, the belief her supporters always had in her has been transformed into something far more powerful: proof. Her breakthrough on grass was not built on a single impressive result or one fortunate week. It was established through a consistent pattern of performances against increasingly difficult opponents, revealing the same qualities again and again. She demonstrated mental resilience in pressure-filled third sets, tactical intelligence when matches became tight, and the physical endurance to maintain her level when others began to fade. Her victories over higher-ranked opponents provide some of the clearest evidence of that growth. These were players backed by experienced coaches and analysts, players whose teams specifically prepared strategies designed to neutralize threats like Alex. Yet she beat them, and in many cases she did so in a manner that suggested she still had another gear available if needed. Her deeper runs in recent tournaments tell the same story from a different perspective. She is no longer suffering early exits against opponents she should defeat. Instead, she is winning those matches consistently and then pushing significantly higher-ranked players into uncomfortable territory. Perhaps most importantly, she now carries with her the biggest victory of her career, a result that permanently altered her internal narrative. That win changed the conversation inside her own mind from wondering whether she belonged at this level to knowing she belongs here. When Wimbledon presents those inevitable moments of pressure, when the score is close, the crowd is tense, and every point feels monumental, Alex possesses something invaluable. She has a real experience to draw strength from. She has proof. Players who have proof compete differently than players who are fueled only by hope. Right now, Alex has both. Rankings alone do not change careers. They are simply numbers until the tennis world begins treating a player differently because of them. What makes Alex's current position so intriguing is that the shift is already happening. Opponents are starting to recognize her as more than a promising prospect. They are beginning to see her as a legitimate threat, and that change in perception may be every bit as important as the ranking itself. The most important thing to understand about Alex Eala's rise in the rankings is that the number itself tells only part of the story. The climb she has achieved represents a level of improvement that many professional players would be delighted to accomplish over a much longer period. Yet the ranking is almost secondary to the effects it creates. Higher rankings change how opponents prepare, forcing them to study her game more carefully before matches. They influence tournament draws, determine positioning within the bracket, and alter the psychological dynamic that exists long before the first ball is struck. At Grand Slam events, rankings carry even greater significance because they shape the structure of the tournament itself. They affect potential pathways through the draw, influence the caliber of opponents a player may face early, and determine the level of respect a competitor commands before stepping onto the court. Right now, Alex's ranking has placed her in a position at Wimbledon that simply did not exist for her a year ago. She is approaching milestones that, once reached, will fundamentally change how the entire tour views and prepares for her. More importantly, the speed at which she is moving toward those milestones suggests they are no longer distant dreams but approaching realities. Every victory at Wimbledon accelerates that process. Every round she survives adds ranking points, strengthens her standing, and reinforces her legitimacy in a sport where rankings remain the most visible measure of belonging among the elite. What makes Alex's current moment especially intriguing is not what her fans are saying about her chances, but what the broader tennis community has started to recognize. The transition from fan excitement to widespread professional acknowledgement is often the clearest sign that a player has truly arrived. Observers who follow the sport closely, people with years of experience distinguishing genuine breakthroughs from temporary hot streaks, have begun identifying qualities in Alex's grass court performances that frequently precede deep Grand Slam runs. It is not simply about the results she has produced, but how she has produced them. Her response to pressure situations, the maturity of her decision-making during difficult moments, and the consistency of her level across multiple matches all point towards something more significant than a brief surge in form. Former players, coaches, analysts, and longtime observers understand how difficult it is to sustain excellence on grass, particularly for young players still establishing themselves on tour. That is why the attention Alex is receiving now carries weight. The conversation is no longer centered on whether she has potential. It is increasingly focused on how far that potential can take her and whether Wimbledon might become the stage where the rest of the tennis world fully realizes what those who followed her journey closely have suspected for some time. Those who have experienced professional tennis at the highest level understand how difficult it is to survive the second week of a Grand Slam, and many of them have started noticing something familiar in Alex Eala. They see it in her body language between points, in the way she quickly resets after losing a game, and in the moments when lesser players might mentally retreat while she chooses to push forward even harder. When former champions and experienced professionals recognize qualities in another player that remind them of their own best periods, it is never a casual observation. It is a meaningful signal. That is one reason why the conversation surrounding Alex at Wimbledon this year feels completely different from anything she has experienced at previous Grand Slams. At this level of tennis, perception often changes before results do, and when the conversation begins to shift, major breakthroughs frequently follow. Wimbledon is not just another tournament on the calendar. It is the tournament, the most iconic stage in tennis, steeped in tradition and history. It is a place where every detail matters, where even the color of a player's clothing is carefully regulated, and where the significance of the occasion can affect even the most experienced competitors. The grass courts create their own unique challenge. The ball stays low, moves faster through the court, rewards aggressive play, and places a greater emphasis on serving and first-strike tennis. What makes Alex particularly intriguing this year is how naturally her recent transformation aligns with those demands. Her serve has evolved into a genuine weapon. Her movement has become decisive and instinctive. Her court positioning is more aggressive, and her return game now puts opponents under pressure instead of simply reacting to what they do. These improvements have shaped a style of